The one, let's go.
See the big purple strip?
Spider-Man 3 cannot come soon enough. All the hype around the possible story has us beyond excited about what action sets are coming. We can't help but feel like a kid when we watch Tom Holland's Spider-Man perform endless stunt after stunt.
And then I would run out and then smash through this fence.
We need more of his daring moves in our lives. So to keep ourselves sane while we wait for Spider-Man 3, we thought that it'd be a good idea to look through his history with the character and his daring decision to perform his own stunts.
Hey, come on, you're gonna shoot somebody shooting me!
Watching Tom Holland as Spider-Man just hits differently. Sure, every web-slinger in the past movies have flipped into the frame once or twice, but Holland makes it feel more real. By now, you've seen plenty of YouTube videos decoding whether or not Tom Holland actually does his own stunts. Even us here at Screen Rant have made the point that some of his actions require a stunt double. That's for legal reasons. We're not here for that part alone. The facts are clear. Tom Holland works incredibly hard to make his action sets some of the best that we've ever seen in live-action Spider-Man films. Directors always highlight his involvement with the stunt team during his scene in any MCU movie he gets to take part in. It's what makes him the most compelling portrayal of the character to date. Nothing he does is CGI or heavily wired. Obviously, it's done safely, but it's not rigged to the point of stiffness or unreal movement. When they first cast Tom Holland as Spider-Man, a significant factor was his background. Holland is more than familiar with the world of gymnastics and dance. They don't sound like the most popular sports, but getting into those activities makes a big difference. Why do you think Holland can do a standing flip as Spider-Man? That's not a stunt double. He does them all the time. Every single action set that he does requires an incredible amount of strength, flexibility, and agility. Holland began taking dance lessons at the age of 10. It's reported that his mom thought that he'd enjoy them since he'd always danced to her Janet Jackson tapes. We can neither confirm nor deny the validity of those statements. However, we love the idea of Tom Holland getting down to Janet Jackson being the moment that led to him becoming Spider-Man. Holland later got a role in Billy Elliot, the musical. Holland has gone on record saying that the role helped him learn and grow enough to land the role of Peter Parker. In fact, he wanted to stand out when he auditioned for the role. So to do that, Holland somersaulted into the frame, then somersaulted back out. Yeah, that explains why Joss Whedon and Kevin Feige hyped up his stunts before Captain America: Civil War. They already knew they had the perfect actor for Spider-Man ready to debut. Working with choreography and taking that direction at a young age left an impression on Holland. He knows how to talk about movement and the rhythm in a scene. You need to hit your mark at the right moment or it's a do-over. Again, this is where his dance background comes into play. The stunt coordinator and the director are working to block the scene. Holland comes over and gives his input because he's confident in his ideas. Anyone who's done dancing knows that there's a level of team input necessary to make a number work. Every dancer has to be absolutely sure that their skills will work with that moment. Holland can see the direction a scene is going and make sure it conforms to his strengths when it can. You know that scene where Tom Holland flips down to the ground next to Mysterio in Spider-Man: Far From Home? It was Holland's idea. He asked if he could get some height from a trampoline and then flip into the scene. Jake Gyllenhaal and the other actors on set were amazed by his energy. Even a simple scene like that requires a lot of takes, but Holland had energy for all of it. Yeah, we'd like to see Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield give that level of commitment. Which is the point we're trying to make. Tom Holland is a Spider-Man like no other we've ever seen, and Spider-Man 3 will only reiterate that fact. So what's the secret? What does Tom Holland do to make these stunts work so perfectly? Okay, so we'll tell you what we know, but it takes a lot of commitment to do training like this to end with positive results. We touched a little on his dance and gymnastics work. However, Tom does a lot more than just those two things to get ready for a Spider-Man film. You have to remember that he does other films between productions. All that means is his body shape changes all the time, kind of like Christian Bale when he would go from Bruce Wayne to a different character. Every time the actor has to throw off their gains, they get it back for the next film. Holland is no exception. To help train for his roles as Spider-Man, Holland does a few things precisely to get into shape. There's even more free weight gymnastics training, some boxing, workout circuits, dieting, and treatment that goes into this role. You all want the details though, so let's get started with his, let's do gymnastics training. What we want to clarify here is that it's more than gymnastics. It's balance training and cardio as well. Essentially, he does 1 to 2 hours of gymnastics work with a coach. That's where you see all the flips and jumps on his Instagram. All those videos come from these sessions. Many trainers have inferred that he likely does sprints or biking to build up his lung capacity and keep his muscles moving. Keep that in mind, as it's a big part of the results that he gets. Holland doesn't always do gymnastics for those days between circuit training and treatment. Tom will also take in boxing and some balance work. Balance work is precisely what it sounds like. Many people who go through physical therapy for leg injuries do the same thing. You balance on boards or you stand on one leg while catching a medicine ball. The goal here is to build those muscles for endurance as well as strength. There's also boxing work that Holland is always seen doing on his Instagram. The time and stations he does within this training are not exact. After all, he's working with a private coach. Giving that information to the public would betray his coach's values to him and other clients. We do know it helps him deliver a believable punch on screen and coordinate his fight scenes. In fact, just about every Marvel actor likely does this in some form to prepare for their role. We can detail his workout circuits since many coaches have studied his posts. His own personal trainer gave some insight for Men's Journal. Note that the primary workout circuit that we're about to tell you is part of a much larger plan. Tom also stretches and primes his joints before doing all of this. If you do not know how to do that, do not do those activities. That is how you hurt yourself. Anyways, when Tom Holland isn't off doing sports and cardio for his workouts, he's nailing a simple circuit like this about 3 to 5 times for about 30 minutes total. He may do that multiple times in a day, but that's the idea. The one his trainer George Ashwell told Men's Journal about went like this: 8 deadlift reps at 2 times your body weight, 10 to 12 incline bench reps with half your body weight in each hand, then 15 straight leg dips, and finally 12 dips with an 8-kilogram weighted vest. He does all that with 30-second breaks in between sets. Yeah, it's starting to make sense now, isn't it? Of course, all of the workouts in the world don't matter a bit if you don't eat right. Once again, Ashwell provided some context into what Tom Holland eats when preparing for a role. For Holland, it was important not to stop him from eating the type of foods he enjoys. Instead, his diet changed in substance and portion. We mean that Tom can still have protein and carbs if he wants them, but he goes for lean protein more often and healthy carb options. Yes, healthy carb options, they do exist. Tom also needed to bulk up for Spider-Man Far From Home because the role he had before that required him to slim down. For him to regain weight, all of his portion sizes were nearly doubled. Holland had 2 fists of protein, carbs, and greens for his meals. That's like taking a handful of salad, then another second handful of salad, eating it all, and then coming back for more 2 more times. That's the number of greens he was likely having in one day. You have to eat right to be Spider-Man. Yeah, we can hear the disappointment from every Sweet Tooth fan out there. Yeah, that's including us. And yeah, that feels like a lot, but there's a bit more to his routine. If Holland were to keep that level of training up without any sort of break, his body would quit on him. It's a fact that you cannot strain your body without giving it time to recover. Tom and his trainers are acutely aware of this idea and stress treatment above all other branches of his training. Their goal is to get him to set with minimal soreness after 2 years of intense workouts. It's not an easy task to accomplish. The famed part of Tom's treatment plan is his electric muscle stimulation work. Some people also say that it grows muscle, but that's a stretch. What's actually helping with EMS is an acceleration in recovery. The small shock it sends through tenses the muscles briefly, but then relaxes them more. It wakes them up and keeps them processing the damage that they've received from muscle building workouts. Okay, so that's like a dummy's guide to EMS therapy. We're trying to say that physical therapy and treatment go a long way in helping Holland to keep such a strict schedule. When you put all this together, you get the official Tom Holland training guide. It may feel like a lot, but it makes the difference. Look at the scope of improvement we've seen to the role of Spider-Man. A portion of it comes from his dedication to his stunt work and training. The Marvel films would not be the same without Tom's dedication to the craft. Remember that scene where Peter dashes across the poles in the Grand Canal of Venice from Far From Home? Obviously, Tom wears a wire for that scene, but he did perform this stunt. Now imagine if Tom didn't do all the work he did. Picture Garfield and Maguire in that spot. Sure, they'd pull it off eventually, but there would probably be way more mistakes than Tom's performance. That or the studio would need to pay more for the stunt double's time and effort. Right there, that's the difference Tom Holland makes in this role. He's a real Spider-Man for our time, and his efforts have been rewarded with continuous praise from directors and fans alike. We love seeing him as Spider-Man, and we can't wait for more details into his training as he continues this role. We don't want to diss all the previous actors who did their best to to bring this comic character to life, it's just so clear that the way Tom Holland prepares for this role matters. He actually swings and jumps into the action. There are CGI moments and wires, but it's not intrusive. Holland makes all the difference, and his work ethic is clear from his training routine.
Did you like my reaction to the big monster?
If that didn't want to make you get up and get active, well, totally understandable. Tom Holland sure does a lot to get ready for his role. What do you think of his training? Could you do it? Do you want to do it? Tell us in the comments below and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Screen Rant. See ya!